Hello students, I'm Mr. Troxel and welcome to 6th grade math. In today's video, we'll be doing a 14-question review. Most of this review will have to do with solving the percent problems using the is of percent formula. Some of the problems will have to do with unit rates and others will be measurement conversion problems. Feel free to freeze this video at any time as you try these questions at home. All right, have a seat at your desk and let's get started. Let's look at question 1. Natalina drives a moving van. She travels 372 miles in 6 hours. At what speed does Natalina drive in miles per hour? Draw a model and show your work. Well, the first thing we need to do is figure out at 372 miles in 6 hours, how many miles per 1 hour is Natalina driving? We can do that by writing 372, that's the miles they've given us here, over 6 hours. So currently she's doing 372 miles in 6 hours. We're going to need to figure out the unit ratio. And we can do that by making the hours a 1. That will give us so many miles per 1 hour. In order to make these hours right here a 1, we have to figure out how we get from 6 hours to 1 hour. We do that by dividing by 6. So if we divide this 6 right here by 6 right here, we're going to get this 1. And whatever we do to the bottom, we need to do to the top. So we need to take this 372 miles and divide that by 6. That's going to give us 62 because 372 divided by 6 is 62. So right now we're coming up with 62 miles per hour. That's how fast Natalina is driving. So the question is, at what speed does Natalina drive in miles per hour? Natalina drives 62 miles per hour. Does that answer the question? It sure does. Slow down, Natalina. So how'd you do on this one? All right, let's try question 2. A paint store sells 4 pints of paint for $19. Use a model to write a rate for this situation. What does this rate mean? Show your work. Well, we can easily divide $19 by 4 and get the price per pint of paint. But it's asking us to use a model. I'm going to use the double number line in this situation. And here's how the double number line works. We draw a number line on the top and we draw a number line on the bottom. And since we're talking about 4 pints, I'm going to break this up into 4s. I'm going to put pints on the bottom. I'm going to put dollars on the top. Because that's what we're using. Pints of paint and dollars. Now I'm going to start on the very end with the $19 for the 4 pints. So we know that $19 gets us 4 pints of paint. Since we're going to be using 4s or 4 parts or quarters, we know that the bottom we're going to have 1, 2, 3, and 4. So we need to break up 19 into 4 pieces. So if you divide 19 by 4, you're going to get 4.75, which is the rate per pint of paint. So over the 1, we know 1 pint of paint is 4.75. We know 2 pints of paint is 4.75 twice, which is 950. We know 3 pints of paint is 4.75 3 times, which is 14.25. And then, of course, 4 pints of paint would be 475 4 times, coming up to $19. So now, if we look anywhere along this double number line, we're going to get equivalent ratios, meaning every one of these ratios will simplify back to the 475 over 1. So this model shows what we already know by dividing 19 by 4, and that is 1 pint of paint costs $4.75. So use a model to write a rate for this situation. We've used a model called the double number line. And what does this rate mean? This rate means for 1 pint of paint, it's $4.75, which is shown right here. All right, how'd you do on this one? All right, well, let's go to question 3. Question 3 says, Carla makes paper airplanes. Today, it takes 32 minutes to make 16 paper airplanes. She plans to make paper airplanes for 96 minutes tomorrow and to work at the same rate. How many paper airplanes will Carla make tomorrow? Well, today, she's taking 32 minutes to make 16 paper airplanes. So I'm going to write my ratio right here, 32 over 16. Now, we know that tomorrow she's going to work for 96 minutes. I'm going to put the 96 on top because that's where my minutes are. If I had put it on the bottom, on the same level as the paper airplanes, this wouldn't work out. So the minutes have to line up together. So I've got 36 minutes on the top, and I've got unknown on the bottom. We don't know how many paper airplanes she's going to make. That's what we're trying to figure out. Well, when I look at this, I say to myself, how did I get from 32 to 96, right? What is 96 divided by 32? Or 32 times what is 96? And as it turns out, 32 times 3 is 96. So if I times 32 minutes by 3, I'm going to get 96 minutes. Now I need to look at the bottom. Since I times the top by 3, I need to times the bottom by 3. So 16 paper airplanes times 3 is 48 paper airplanes. So the question is, how many paper airplanes will Carla make in 96 minutes if she's making 16 in 32 minutes? Well, the answer is 48 airplanes in 96 minutes. Carla sounds like she has a very busy day tomorrow. How'd you do on this one? All right, let's get to question number 4. Question number 4 says, Benicio skis 748 yards in 3 minutes. At this rate, how many miles does Benicio ski in an hour? Record your answer on the grid, then fill in the bubbles. I just hate these bubble things. Why can't we just put the answer down? Okay, I digress. Let's move on. Well, the first thing we need to do is write down the 748 yards. And be careful, because this is yards and the question is asking about miles. We're going to put that over 3 minutes because that's the information we have, 748 yards in 3 minutes. What we want to know is how many miles, not yards, can Benicio ski in an hour, which is 60 minutes. All right? Here's what I would do first. I would figure out the yards. We already know that 1 mile is 1760 yards. So let's figure out how many yards first. In order to get from 3 to 60 down here, 3 minutes to 60, we're going to times by 20 because 20 times 3 is 60, right? And whatever we do to the bottom, we have to do to the top. So up here, I'm going to times 748 by 20. And if you do that, the answer is going to be 14960, 14,960 yards. That's how many yards Benicio will ski in 60 minutes. What we need to do is figure out how many miles, not how many yards. So we have to do a conversion. We're going to have to take this 14,960 yards and divide it by this 1,760, which is how many yards are in each mile. If we do that, we're going to get 8.5. So the answer in miles to this question is, in 60 minutes, Benicio will go 8.5 miles or 14,960 yards. And since it's asking for miles right here, that's the answer. Now you can fill in this little chart here by going 8.5, or coming down here and filling in the 8, filling in the point, and filling in the 5. How'd you do on this one? All right, it's on to question 5. Question 5 says, at a farmer's market, a package of pears weighs 3 pounds and costs $9. Bananas are priced at 4 pounds per dollar. Use rates to show which kind of fruit is more expensive per pound. We want to know the price per pound. Show your work. All right, let's start with the pears first. So let's write that here. And the pears are 3 pounds for $9. We need to figure out what is the price per pound for pears. Well, if the pounds are right here, that's the number 3, we want to make the pounds a 1. That will give us the price right here per 1 pound. We can do this by trying to figure out how do we get from 3 pounds to 1 pound up here. Well, the way we do that is we divide by 3, because 3 divided by 3 is 1. And whatever we do to the top, we've got to do to the bottom. So if we take this 9 and we divide this by 3, 9 divided by 3 is 3. So this is showing us that for 1 pound, it's $3, or pears are $3 per pound. Now let's move on to bananas. bananas are 4 pounds for $1. We want to try and figure out how much are bananas per pound. So we want to get the pounds up here to be a 1, the price per pound. That's what we're trying to figure out here. Well, if we look up on the top here, how did we get from 4 to 1? Well, we divide by 4, right? So 4 pounds divided by 4 pounds equals 1 pound. And whatever we do to the top, we've got to do to the bottom. So $1 divided by 4 is 0.25 or 25 cents. So we're looking at 25 cents for 1 pound of bananas and $3 for 1 pound of pears. So now let's answer the question. Which kind of fruit is more expensive per pound? Well, it's pretty obvious in this case that pears are the more expensive fruit at $3 per pound. And this is why I love bananas. How'd you do on this one? All right, let's go to question 6. Question number 6 says, I'm going to try this name. Let's hope for the best. Chanacia buys a plastic bucket. The bucket weighs 460 grams. The label on the bucket says, made with 20% recycled plastics. How many grams of recycled plastic are used to make Chanacia's bucket? Record your answer on the grid, then fill in the bubbles. All right, so here's the first opportunity for us today to use the is of percent formula. And here's how this works. We've got our is number, we've got our of number, which equals our percent over 100, because all the percents are always 1 over 100. That's what the word percent means, per 100. So this formula right here allows us to solve percent problems. We just have to know which number we have and which number we're missing. In this example, we're trying to figure out of 460 grams of plastic bucket, what is 20%? That's what the question's asking us. So we just need to plug these numbers into our formula. So I'm going to draw a blank proportion down here, and these are just equivalent fractions or equivalent ratios. The is number, we don't have. That's the one we're trying to figure out. The of number, well, that's 460 grams. The percent, our percent is 20. And we always put 100 right here because the percent is over 100 because that's what it's based on. Now we can do our math. We can cross multiply right here. 460 times 20. And that's going to give us 9,200. Then we're going to take the 9,200 and divide it by the only number that's left. This is how cross multiplication works. You've always got 3 numbers because you're trying to figure out the fourth, and you're going to wind up with one that you didn't use for cross multiplication. You're going to take your answer and divide it by whatever number's left. And if we're going to divide 9,200 by 100, we're going to wind up with 92. So that should wind up being our answer. 92 grams of this bucket are made from recycled plastic out of the 460 grams in the bucket. And we can check our answer. We can do 460 times 0.20 for 20%. And if you do that, the answer of 460 times 0.20 is 92. That's kind of a way to check your answer right there. So the answer to this question, how many grams of recycled material is 20% of 460? Well, that is 92. We can fill in our 9. We can fill in our 2. How'd you do on this one? A little tricky, huh? All right, let's get to question 7. Question 7 says, Elizabeth buys a package of 360 marbles. She gives away 216 of the marbles. What percent of the marbles did Elizabeth give away? Show your work. What we want to do is identify the is, the of, and the percent. We know here that she has 360 marbles, so that's the of number. She gives away 216 of the 360. So if she gives away 216 of the 360, the 216 is the is number, right? 216 is the amount that she gave away of 360 marbles. The percent, well, we don't know the percent. That's the missing number in this whole problem. Now we can set up our proportion. We've got the is number on top. We've got the of number on the bottom. We've got the percent on the right, which we don't know, right? That's what we're trying to figure out. And the percent is always over 100. When we look at this problem, we only have one way to cross multiply. That's a 216 times 100. And 216 times 100 is 21,600. Now, if we take our answer and divide it by the only number that's left right here, 360, we're going to wind up with 60. We can place that right here in the percent box, 60%. So we're saying to ourselves, if she has 360 marbles, she gives away 216, what percent did she give away? That percent should equal 60%. Let's test our work. If we take the whole, the 360 marbles she started with, and we times it by 0.60, which is 60%, what do we get? Well, as it turns out, we get 216 marbles right here. See how nice that works out? How did you do on this one? All right, that's not bad. Let's get to question 8. Question 8 says, Simmons and Magda do push-ups for exercise. Simmons does 42 push-ups in 360 seconds. Magda does 24 push-ups in 3 minutes. Who does push-ups at a faster rate? Show your work. Well, let's start with Simmons. We'll do a little fraction here. Simmons does 42 push-ups in 360 seconds. We want to figure out how many seconds it takes Simmons to do one push-up. So let's do a little equivalent fraction over here. And we want these push-ups right here to be one push-up. What we want to figure out is how many seconds that takes. So let's put a little question mark there. Now, if we look at our top here, how do we get from 42 to 1? Because these ratios, these fractions are equivalent. Well, in order to get from 42 to 1, we're going to divide by 42. Because 42 divided by 42 is 1. One push-up. Whatever we do to the top, we need to do to the bottom. So we need to take this 360 and divide that by 42, just like we did to the top. If we divide 360 by 42, we're going to get about 8.5. It's not an even number, but it's pretty close to 8.5. So what we're saying here, in order for Simmons to do one push-up, it takes her, or him, we're not sure who it is, it takes him or her 8.5 seconds. That's for one push-up. Now let's look at Magda. Magda does 24 push-ups in 3 minutes, which is the same as saying 180 seconds. What we want is to figure out, again, how many seconds it takes Magda to do one push-up. So we'll put a 1 up here with the push-ups, and we've got a question mark on the seconds. When we look at the top part of this fraction, how do we get from 24 to 1? Well, we divide by 24. 24 divided by 24 is one push-up. Whatever we do to the top, we got to do to the bottom, so we're going to come down here and divide by 24 also. And if we divide 180 by 24, we're going to get 7.5 as the answer for the number of seconds. So Magda takes 7.5 seconds to do one push-up. So now we have a comparison. We've got one of them taking 8.5 seconds to do one push-up and one taking 7.5 seconds to do one push-up. The question is, who does push-ups at a faster rate? Well, the one who's taking less time to do them, because then they can do more faster. And in this case, that would be Magda, who's doing one push-up in 7.5 seconds. So Magda, definitely the one in better shape here. How did you do on this one? All right, let's try question number 9. Question number 9 says, Mrs. Doan spends $36 at a carnival. This is 75% of the money she brings to the carnival with her. How much money does Mrs. Doan bring to the carnival? Record your answer on the grid, then fill in the bubbles. All right, so let's figure out the numbers we have here. We know that she spends $36. So that is the amount that she spent. What is that 36 of? How much did she bring total? We don't know. So for the of number, that's a question mark. And then for the percentage, we have 75%. So this is a percent question, and we can solve that using our is of percent formula. Let's set up our proportions. The top number is the is number, so that's 36. The bottom number is the of number. We have no idea. That's what we're trying to figure out. That equals the percentage, which in this case is 75, over 100. Well, here we can cross multiply 36 and 100, and we would have 3,600. Then we're going to divide by the only other number that's left, which is 75. When we divide 3,600 by 75, we're going to get 48. We can check our answer to make sure 48 is actually the of number, 36 out of $48. We can check that by taking the of number, the 48, and timesing it by the percentage, times 0.75 for 75%. And if we do that, we're going to get 36, which is the amount of money she spent, and that's correct. So the answer for this question is, how much money did Mrs. Doan bring to the carnival? She brought $48. So let's go over to our little grid here and pop in our 4 and our 8. And we can come down here and fill in the 4, and we can come down here and fill in the 8. 48 bucks, that's the answer. How'd you do on this one? This one wasn't too bad. All right, on to question 10. All right, let's look at question number 10. Question 10 says, Theo practices yoga for the same amount of time every day. After he practices yoga for 18 minutes on Saturday, he has finished 24% of his daily yoga practice. So we're saying we don't know how long he practices on Saturday or every day, but the 18 minutes that he did practice is 24% of his daily yoga practice. So we don't know the time that he uses every day to practice yoga. We just know he's done 18 minutes of it. How many more minutes does Theo practice yoga on Saturday? Show your work. Well, once again, this is a percent question. We can solve this using the is of percent formula. Remember, we need to figure out what numbers we have. We have the is number, which is 18 minutes. He is practicing 18 minutes of some number. We don't know, right? And we know that 18 minutes is 24% of whatever that normal time he practices. So let's plug that into our formula. We can put up our proportion right here, and the top is always the is number. That's the 18. The bottom's always the of number. We don't know what that number is. The percent goes right here, and we know that's 24, and the percent always goes over 100. Now we can start our cross multiplication. 100 times 18 is going to be 1,800, and we're going to divide it by the only number left, which is 24. As it turns out, 1,800 divided by 24 is 75. So 75 minutes is the total number of minutes he does every day. Now on this Saturday, he's already practiced 18 of those 75 minutes. The question isn't asking us what is his daily Holt practice time. It's asking us how many more minutes does he have to practice. So he's already practiced 18. How many minutes does he have left? So that means we need to do an extra step here. We've got the 75 as our answer, and we can check that 75 by doing 75 times 0.24 to see if we come up with the amount of minutes that he's already practiced. And 75 times 0.24 is actually 18. So we know our math is correct. So all we have to do is take the 75 minutes and minus the amount of minutes he's already practiced, which is 18, and we're going to wind up with 57 minutes left. So the answer to this question is, how many more minutes does Theo have for practice on Saturday? He has 57 minutes left because he practiced for 18 minutes so far, and his total is 75 minutes for the whole day. How did you do on this one? Did you catch that little trick at the end? You had to subtract, all right? An extra step. All right, let's go to question 11. Question 11 says, Ella makes cheesy broccoli casseroles. Her recipe calls for 7 cups of broccoli per 2 cups of cheese. How many cups of broccoli are needed for 42 cups of cheese? This is a simple equivalent ratios question. We've got 7 cups of broccoli over 2 cups of cheese. She wants to use 42 cups of cheese. So we'll put that down here with the other cheese. The question is, how much broccoli is she going to need? Well, how do we get from 2 to 42, from 2 cups of cheese to 42? Well, that's pretty simple. That's 21 times 2. So we times this by 21, right? 2 times 21 is 42. Whatever we do to the bottom, we need to do to the top. So we need to multiply 7 times 21, and that will give us the total here which is 147. 147 cups of broccoli and 42 cups of cheese. So if we come all the way over here, there's our answer right there. How'd you do on this one? Did you get that right? All right, let's get on to question 12. Question 12 says, a library sells 600 books for a fundraiser. The library claims that 60% of the books are fiction. How many of these books are fiction? Well, here we have the whole. We have the of number. The question says the library has sold a total of 600 books. So 600 books is the of number of 600. They also say that 60% of the sales that they've sold are fiction. So we've got a 60% right there. What we don't know is out of that 600 books, the 60% that sold that were fiction, what number is that out of 600? That's what we're missing. So let's plug these numbers in. We've got the of number, we've got the percent, we don't know the is number, all right? Well, if we take our numbers here and use our formula, we've got the proportion right here. The is number goes on top, we don't know it. The of number goes on the bottom, that's 600. The percent goes over here, that's 60, and that always goes over 100. We can easily cross multiply 600 times 60, which gives us 36,000. And we can divide by the only number that's left, which is 100. 100 into 36,000 winds up being 360. How'd you do on that one? That one was pretty simple. All right, on to question 13. Question 13 says, a barrel holds 21 quarts of oil. Tina drains the barrel at a rate of 6 cups per minute, not quarts. How long does it take her to empty the entire barrel? Show your work, 1 quart equal 4 cups. Here's how I think the best way to do this is. First, let's write down what they've given us. We've got 21 quarts, and the rate is 6 cups per minute. What we need to figure out is how many cups is 21 quarts. We know that 1 quart equals 4 cups. So if we have 21 quarts, we need to do 21 times 4. That'll give us the amount of cups. 21 times 4 would be 84 cups. Now that we have our cups, we can put that down, 84 cups, and we know that she's draining this thing at a rate of 6 cups per minute. We can set up our equivalent ratio by putting the 6 cups over here and the 1 minute over here. What we don't know is how long will it take to drain 84 cups? Well, we can figure this out by realizing how did we get from 84 to 6? 84 divided by what is 6, or 6 times what is 84? Well, as it turned out, 84 divided by 14 is 6, or 6 times 14 is 84. So here, if we know that 6 times 14 is 84, we have to do this to the bottom also. Well, if we've taken 6 and times it by 14 to get 84, we can take 1 times that by 14, and we're going to get 14 over here. So the answer to this question is, how long does it take her to empty the barrel? Well, for 84 cups, it took 14 minutes. Because for 6 cups, it took 1 minute. If she's draining at 6 cups per minute, and there's 84 cups in the barrel, it's going to take her 14 minutes. Because 6 times 14 is 84, and 1 times 14 is 14. How'd you do on that one? If you converted, then you probably got it right. Let's go to question 14. All right, so question 14, which is our final question, says, what percent of 125 is 90? Write your answers in the blank. All right, so this one's pretty simple. And the reason it's simple is because this is a percent question, and it's already set up in the is of percent formula. We've got the is number, what percent of 125 is 90? We've got the of number, what percent of 25 is 90? And I can tell you right here that we're missing the percent because it says what percent. So that's a good indication right there. The boxes are already drawn. So our is number goes on the top left, and our is number is 90. Our of number goes below that, and our of number is 125. 90 of 125. Our percent is missing, so that's our question mark. That's a question mark, not a 7. And then our 100 is already there. So the first thing we're going to do is cross multiply the 100 and the 90. So 90 times 100 is going to give us 9,000. Then we're going to take the only number that's left, the 125, and divide 9,000 by 125. If we do that, we're going to get an answer of 72. So what's the answer to our question? Well, what percent of 125 is 90? Well, 90 is 72% of 125, because that's what we just learned. We can even check our answer. We can take our whole, which is 125, and times it by the percent, which is 0.72. That should give us, and it does, 90. 90 is 72% of 125. And that concludes our review today. Please hit that like button, and don't forget to subscribe, or I'm giving you detention. There's the bell. We'll see you next time.